everybody, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for stopping by for today's video. And if you're new to my channel and this is your first time seeing me, hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Stacey. I appreciate you being here. I am 28 years old from Connecticut. I have my own business online as a virtual assistant and social media manager. So the content I'm making on this channel surrounds both my business and my post-grad life as a business owner, as well as my many passions that include reading, like this video, fashion, vlogs, home decor, everything in that aspect. So if that sounds good to you and sounds like something that you would enjoy, I would love for you to consider sticking around and subscribing to my channel. I would be so happy and honored to have you join the community here as I grow my channel. So definitely stick around. And to all my returning subscribers, welcome back. Thank you again so much for being back here today. I really appreciate your support on my channel so far. And I hope you enjoyed today's video. So today I'm sharing my first ever reading wrap up on this channel, which I'm very excited about because, as I mentioned in my previous book videos, I'm a huge reader. It's one of my biggest passions, and this has been my best reading year yet so far to date. So I'm really excited about that. I've been prioritizing reading because it's so good for you, for your mental health, and it's just a great hobby. It's just been really good in my life. It's very, of course, relaxing and everything. I just love it so much. And so I've been really into it this year especially, but I've always loved reading. So I watch other booktubers here on YouTube. I'm sure some of you do as well. And they like to do monthly wrap-ups when they share the books that they read that month. So that is what I'm doing in this video. I'm sharing the 10 books I read in September. I had a really good reading month. I usually don't read that many books in one month. I usually read about 4 or 5. So I read 10 and I'm really proud of myself. And I'm going to share them with you. So let's get started. All right, so the first book I read in September at the beginning of the month, because it was still summer, so I wanted to, still read something more light and summery. So the first book that I read is A Cottage by the Sea by Carol Matthews. And I'm going to be showing you all the books through pictures here on the screen because some of them I actually read in physical form, but I honestly got rid of them as soon as I finished them because I'm trying to just get rid of books as I read them if I'm not going to reread them again. I'm trying to be more strict with just getting rid of things as I'm done with them. So all the books in this video that I'm sharing that I read in physical copy, I got rid of. So I'll just be showing you the image here of what they look like so you could see. But I read some in physical form and some on Kindle. So this first one, A Cottage by the Sea by Carol Matthews, was just your typical adorable, cute, summery romance. I absolutely love contemporary, I love romance, and that is my favorite genre to read in the spring and summertime. I love the lighthearted books. And this one was just so cute, just your typical story of someone who takes place in the UK because I think the author is British. I could be wrong, but this is my first time reading a book by her, so don't quote me on that, but I think she is British. So the book takes place in the UK. And basically the main character goes to visit her friend who she hasn't seen in a long time, and she stays with her at her cottage by the sea, as the title portrays. And it's just kind of the story with their summer and a bunch of crazy things happen, and I really enjoyed it. I like seeing what her and her friends, their group, were up to in the summer. I love the beach, so I love reading books about people that live near the beach because that is my dream, to live near the beach someday. So I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. The only reason and I'm not a picky person, I will give most books 5 stars, but the reason that I didn't give it 5 stars was just because I found the book to be a little bit long. I'm used to my contemporary romance books being about 300 pages or so. So this book was, I want to say, I can't remember now. I think it was over 400 pages. So it was just very long for, like I said, a contemporary romance book. I just found it dragged on a little bit. There was just a lot of information. So I think if it had been a little bit shorter, it would have been a 5-star read for me. And you can definitely check out the synopsis for all of these books on your own. I can link the books down below for you to check out. I'm not going to go into too much detail about what each book is about because it would make the video just too long. But I'm just giving you my review basically. So I really enjoyed this book. I would highly recommend it still if you love, like I said, contemporary romance, books that take place like in the summertime, and if you enjoy, it's kind of like a good beach read. So if you enjoy books like that, then you would enjoy it, and I definitely recommend that one. The second book that I read in September was a psychological thriller because I love reading thrillers in the fall and winter. I've read so many and I usually enjoy them. They're never my favorite books because, you know, thrillers are just strange, but I enjoy them all the same. So the first thriller I read in September is called The Other Life by Ellen Meester, I think is how you pronounce it. And I really enjoyed this one. It was a very quick read for me. I thought the pacing was great and everything. It's a very interesting story. Like I said, you can look it up if you would like. I'll have the links to all the books in the description box if you're interested. But this one was basically about a woman who kind of had a double life. So it had time travel. So she had 2 different lives with like 2 different men. So in her first life, she's been dating this man for like a long time. And it's just like her life with him. And then in her other life, she's married to a different man and has like a child, and it's her life story about that. So I really enjoyed the plot of this book. I thought the way that she had 2 different lives and she was able to time travel through portals to each life whenever she wanted, and she was able to do this ever since she was a child. So I really liked this plot. I thought it was a really great idea for a story, and I haven't read another book with that kind of plot. Like, I've read time travel books like The Time Traveler's Wife and things like that, but I've never read a thriller with this kind of plot. So it was very interesting. The main character was basically trying to decide which of the lives she wanted to live in permanently because she was getting tired of jumping from each life to the other. So she was trying to decide which life she wanted to actually stay in. So it was a very good book. I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. It was a really good thriller. It was definitely one of the better ones I read. Thrillers are kind of hit or miss for me. Like, they're just strange. I either really like it or I really don't. So this one was one of the better ones for me. I've never read a book by this author, so I'm glad I gave it a try. And most of these books, like thrillers, I get from little free libraries. So it's nice because I get to read them, but I didn't actually have to pay for them. They're free. Because I don't really like to buy thrillers personally, because like I said, thrillers, I really just read one time and then I'm done. I have no desire to reread them because, you know, I already know what's going to happen. So I like to just read them and get rid of them. But this is one of the better ones I've read. Yeah, I really liked it. I like how the story wrapped up. So definitely recommend checking it out if you like thrillers. The third book I read in September that I had been reading for a while but finished is Midnight Sun by Stephenie Meyer. Of course, I'm sure you know who she is. She wrote the famous Twilight series back in the day that I absolutely loved. I've mentioned this in other videos, but I'm a huge Twilight fan, always was, ever since high school, always will be. I read the books over and over, and I do want to reread them again. I love the series, so Midnight Sun was a given for me. I was so excited when the author released it. It came out a few years ago, and I actually bought the book on Kindle, a few years ago because it's a huge book and I had no room on my shelf. So I bought the Kindle version, and honestly, it took me 2 years to finish this book. I'm not lying. And I think that just sounds crazy. I've never spent that long reading a book in my life. And it's not because I didn't like it or anything like that. It's just a super big book. I believe it's almost or over 800 pages. So that's a really long book for me. I'm not used to reading really long books like that. So I just let myself read it slowly, gradually, and really enjoy it. I didn't want to rush through it because, you know, it's basically Twilight in Edward's perspective. So it's not really like anything new, if that makes sense. It's kind of a retelling of the original story through his perspective. So I knew what to expect from it. It's not like it was gripping, like it wasn't, you know, a different plot. It was the same plot, just told in his perspective. So there wasn't really any sense of urgency for me to finish it, if that makes sense. But I did not think I was going to be reading it for 2 years. So I made it an effort. I wanted to finish it this fall. That was my goal. So I'm really excited to say that I did finish it in September, and it was a 5-star read for me. Absolutely loved it, of course. Like I said, I love the Twilight series. Always have, always will. I'm a huge fan. I loved all the books, so this one did not disappoint. I absolutely love Edward Cullen as a character. I know people have mixed feelings, but I absolutely love him. I think I understand him very well. And I'm a very traditional person, as is he. So, like I said, I just love how he portrays himself and how, for the most part, how he treats Bella. Like, he's very traditional and old-fashioned, which I love. So I love his character. So a 5-star read for me, hands down. If you love the Twilight series, definitely recommend it. You should check it out for sure. I know you'll love it. If you're not an Edward Cullen fan, then you probably won't be the biggest fan. But if you're an Edward fan and you love the series, I highly recommend reading it. It's definitely worth reading. You get some different information from Edward's perspective, so I really do think it was worth the read. I'm just surprised it took me so long to finish it because I really enjoyed it and I love the writing. I love the pacing and everything about it, so I'm so glad I finally finished it. And let me know in the comments below if you are reading or have read any of these books that I'm talking about in this video. And let me know what book you're currently reading as well. I would love to hear from you. The 4th book I read in September is a self-help nonfiction book. I do like to read nonfiction books every day in the morning during my morning routine before I start my workday. So I'm usually reading 2 books at the same time. I'll read a self-help book and then a fiction book. So the next book I read in the self-help category was You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. And you probably have heard of it. It's a really, really well-known, very popular, very well-loved book in the self-help category. I had countless people telling me to read it, especially as a business owner. They said I would find it very insightful. And I did. I ended up giving it 5 stars. I wouldn't say it was like the best self-help book I've ever read. I wouldn't go that far. But I did enjoy it enough to give it 5 stars. I like the author's writing. I really like her perspective about just reminding you that, you know, you can really do anything you put your mind to. It's all in your mindset, what you achieve in life. And you are capable of going after your dreams and achieving them. So that's kind of a synopsis of what it's about. Again, I'll leave it down below if you want to read about it further and check it out for yourself. But yeah, I found it very insightful. I really enjoyed it. I borrowed it from my library on Kindle. It was a very quick read, like most self-help books are for me. So I really enjoyed it, and I definitely recommend checking it out. The 5th book I read in September is Town in a Maple Madness by B.B. Haywood. This was a cozy mystery read, and if you watched my reading vlog for the Hello Seasons Readathon, I'll link the video up here if you didn't get to watch it. Definitely go check it out. You would have seen this book because I read this book as part of the readathon a couple weekends ago. and I really enjoyed it. I gave it 5 stars. I love cozy mysteries. I've really been getting into them this year, so it was one that I found in a little free library. It's in a series, but I've never read the series. I've never read the author, any books by the author. It was my first time, and you know, for cozies, I just kind of read the books as I get them. I don't necessarily read them in order in a series, if that makes sense. I mean, because I don't think it really matters. Like, it's a series, but each book is kind of a different story, so I feel like I can get away with it without having read all of the books before, if that makes sense. So this one was really cute. It took place during like a maple festival. I believe it took place like in the winter. I just really enjoyed it. I don't have too much to say. Cozy mysteries, like I said, they're just a lot of fun. I like cozy mysteries better than regular mysteries because cozy mysteries have romance in them. And I'm the kind of person where I love romance in my books, in my movies, everything. So if something doesn't have any romance or any love story, I won't watch it. That's just how I am. I need some romance. I can't just have like a mystery, if that makes sense. I need some romance. So that's why I love reading cozy mysteries. So if you're the same way, definitely check them out. It just reminded me of a Hallmark movie. Yeah, it was just really cute. I loved the characters. I loved the story and the mystery. It was just all really well written and well done. So I gave it 5 stars, definitely recommend. The 6th book I read is Crave by Tracy Wolff, and again, this book was also in that same video for the Hella Seasons readathon. I read it as part of that readathon, and I read it on my Kindle. I borrowed it. I have a free trial of Kindle Unlimited for a couple months, so I got it on my Kindle, and oh my goodness, I talked about this a little bit in my reading vlog, but this book was incredible. It was so good, and I wasn't expecting it. It's a lot like the Twilight series, so I would recommend it if you like Twilight. Gave it 5 stars, of course. It was so well written. There's 6 books in the series. I'm reading the second one already. Like, the first book was just so good. It's kind of like a mixture of Twilight and Vampire Academy. So it's about like a girl, Grace, who she has a lot of tragedies in her life, and she ends up moving to Alaska to stay with family and attends a boarding school with all different paranormal creatures. So it's kind of her story as she goes to the school and adjusts to her new life in Alaska, but it was so incredible. I could not put it down. The pacing was very quick. It's a big book, but I flew through it. I read it in a few days. I love the story. I love the main character. I love the writing. I love the love interest. There's a lot of romance in it, which I love. So I loved absolutely everything about it. Highly, highly recommend. If you like paranormal books, if you like Twilight, Vampire Academy, like I said, anything with like vampires, werewolves, dragons, any paranormal creatures, if you like any of that, I highly recommend checking this out. I'm already reading the second book, and I'm loving it as well. So I didn't think I was gonna love it. I was skeptical a little bit because it's like Twilight, but I absolutely loved it. The author, Tracy Wolff, did an incredible job. So I'm already reading the second book and loving it. I'm definitely going to continue the series, so definitely recommend checking this one out. The 7th book I read is The Lying Game by Ruth Ware. This is another psychological thriller. You're probably familiar with this author. She's written a lot of best-selling thrillers, and this one I wasn't the biggest fan of. My sister told me her books are kind of like love or hate, so wasn't my favorite. The other thrillers I mentioned in this video were better, and I recommend those. I don't really recommend The Lying Game. I gave it 3 stars. I don't know. I had a hard time getting into this one. The pacing was too slow for me, and I was reading reviews, and I agree with other people on Goodreads who just said like they couldn't get into it. The characters just weren't that likable or interesting or anything like that. I think it was dragged out a little bit too much with like the mystery, and it was really easy to figure out what was going on and like the twist. And I like thrillers the best where they're unpredictable and it's really hard to figure out like what's going on. This one wasn't like that. This one was very obvious to me what was going on and who was causing the problems. So yeah, I found the main character very unlikable. She made a lot of bad decisions and questionable choices, and she was a mother too. So I don't think she portrayed herself very well as a good mother. So I don't recommend this one as much as the other thrillers. Like I said, if you still want to check it out, I'll link it down below. Like I said, it wasn't my favorite. I don't really think it's worth your time. Maybe if you've read the author's other books and you like them, then this would be good for you, but I haven't read her other books and I don't know if I will, honestly. I'm gonna see, because like I said, this wasn't my favorite thriller. It wasn't awful. It wasn't like a 1-star, but it wasn't my favorite. It wasn't the most enjoyable reading experience for me. I kind of felt like I wasted my time. So I don't really recommend this one, but you never know. You might read it and really enjoy it and just have a different opinion. So you can still try it out. It's just not one of my recommendations. The 8th book I read in September is called Lost Books and Old Bones by Paige Shelton. This is another cozy mystery that I found in a little free library in my town, and this one was cute. I gave it 4 stars. Again, just like a typical cute cozy mystery. I like that this one took place in Scotland. The main character, she's actually from the US and she moved to Scotland to work in a bookshop, so I really liked that. And then she has a long-term boyfriend there from Scotland, so I really enjoyed the story, and the mystery I thought was really well done. Yeah, I don't have anything bad to say about it, no complaints. I just gave it 4 stars. It just wasn't my favorite cozy mystery that I've read. I think the other one I mentioned in this video, The Town of Mabel Madness, was a little bit better, so I'd recommend that one over this one. But I haven't read any books from this author, and I haven't read the other books in the series, so maybe if I read the other ones first, I would like it more, but there was nothing wrong with it. Like I said, it just wasn't my favorite, but it was a really cute story. I really liked the main character and her boyfriend and everything, so I do recommend checking this one out if you're a cozy mystery fan, for sure. The 9th book I read in September is called But I'm Not an Expert by Mira Cothand. This is I would call it a business book. I read it on my Kindle through Kindle Unlimited, and this was a really good book. It's basically, if you're a business owner, this would be really good to read, like myself. It's basically about overcoming imposter syndrome, which is where you kind of feel like you're not good enough to be doing what you're doing. So I offer services with my clients. So it's basically those times when you feel like you're not good enough to be doing what you're doing. You're not good enough to get clients. You're not good enough to charge your worth. Things like that. You don't think you're an expert in your field. So the mindset's like holding you back from putting yourself and your business out there. So it's all about like overcoming those limiting beliefs that you have, and you can even read this if you're not in business. Like, I feel like it's a great book just to read for life in general and with any kind of mindset struggles you're having. So I gave this one 5 stars. It was a really, really good and quick read. It's a short book. I read it on Kindle. I really enjoyed it. She talks about how to overcome all of these mental blocks to get you, like I said, to succeed in your business and your life. And she gives really, really good strategies and valuable tips on how to, get yourself past this mindset, put yourself out there, grow your business, help yourself see that you are or can be an expert in the field that you choose, and how to portray yourself properly to attract the right people to work with you. So I thought this book was very, very valuable and very well written. I definitely want to read more books from this author. I highly recommend checking this one out. Like I said, if you enjoy those like self-help nonfiction business books, I think that you'll really enjoy it. And the last and 10th book I read in September is The Good Girl by Mary Kubeka. And I actually just finished it. I finished it in October, but I started it in September, so I figured I would throw it into this video. This is another psychological thriller. It's, I think, a bestseller. Like I said, I've never read anything else from this author. I don't even know if she has any other books. I'm pretty sure this is her debut novel. I got it from a little free library. And this one I gave 4 stars. It was a very strange and creepy book, to be honest. I liked it. I thought it was interesting. The characters in thrillers for me are not usually that likable, so that's kind of how I felt with this story. But the author did a good job with making you warm up to the characters over time. Like, the character development was pretty good. I've seen people online say that like the pacing was too slow, and I kind of agree, so I didn't love that. But the book is basically about a 25-year-old girl who ends up getting kidnapped and by this guy, and he's like supposed to deliver her to this other guy who he was hired to deliver her to, but he ends up chickening out and not wanting to deliver the girl to him because he ends up like developing a bond with her and liking her. So he ends up secluding her with him. They end up staying in like a secluded cabin for a few months, like as a hideout, while he's trying to figure out what to do next because he doesn't want this other guy to find them and kill them. He's trying to keep her safe. So the book has a very, very strong sense of Stockholm Syndrome, which I think a lot of thrillers have, but I haven't read about it much. It's basically where the victim falls in love with the person who kidnapped them. So it kind of turned into a love story, and to be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of this. I'm not too familiar with books with Stockholm Syndrome. I just think it's really creepy, to be honest. Like, the author did it really well in this book because you ended up liking the characters and rooting for them and liking their love story, but I think it's just a really creepy concept, to be honest. I don't know if people actually like this plot or if it's just me who doesn't. I'm not sure, but like I said, I'm not too familiar with this plot. Kind of like Beauty and the Beast. I like that, but I don't know, it's just creepy. And I know thrillers are supposed to be creepy, but I scare easily. I don't like anything horror or anything, so this one was a little too creepy for me. This one, there were a lot of twists thrown in the last couple of pages, and I saw one of the twists coming, but I didn't see the other coming. So after I discovered how it ended with the twist, it changed my whole perception of the book. And not necessarily in a good way. Like, it helped some things with the characters make more sense, but it honestly brought more confusion than anything. And I was reading Goodreads reviews, and a lot of people said that too. They said that the ending was very confusing, and it changed like the entire context of the story. Some people loved the ending, some people hated it. I'm kind of in the middle. Let me know in the comments if you've read this book, and let me know what you thought of the ending. I would love to know. I would love to talk to you guys about this because I'm so conflicted with how I feel about it. Like I said, it was just very creepy, and the main character is portrayed one way throughout the whole book, and then you find out like this twist, and then it completely changes how you view the character. So yeah, there's a lot of like taboo topics discussed. There's like abortion, racism, all these things. So just be aware of that if you decide to read this book. Be prepared to deal with those topics, not necessarily portrayed in the best light. So definitely consider that. But I do recommend this book. Like I said, it's not my favorite thriller I've read, but it definitely got me thinking for a long time after I finished it, which I like when a book does that. It makes me really ponder it and everything. It's just like, there's so many crazy things that happened. The only critique, like I said, is like, besides the Stockholm Syndrome, the majority of the book takes place when they're at the cabin, and I think it was just too drawn out. Like, that's the majority of the book. And a lot of it was like kind of like the same, like the days were the same every day. So I feel like it was just too drawn out, but yeah, the twists were good. Everything else was good. I found it very quick to read. I read it in like 2 days. No complaints there. So I do recommend checking it out if you're a thriller fan. And like I said, if you read it, definitely let me know in a comment what you thought, because I would love to know what you thought. This one is very controversial for me. So those are all the 10 books that I read in September going into October. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's a little bit on the longer side, but if you stuck around to the end of the video, thank you so much. I really appreciate you watching this video and hanging in there as I ramble on. I could talk about books for hours straight since I love them so much. So thank you so much for your support and watching. Like I said, all of the books that I mentioned will be linked below. If you would like to check them out and purchase them, you know, in a comment below if you've read any of these books. I would love to know what you thought and have a little book discussion in the comments section. So definitely let me know. Thank you so much again for watching. I really appreciate your support on my channel. Before you head out, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel if you're not already. I would love to have you back. I upload weekly every Tuesday. You can expect a new video from me, so I'd really appreciate your support and have you coming back to support me, and I would love to get to know you as well. So I appreciate you all so much. Thanks again for watching. If you have any video requests, leave them down below. I'm always looking for new ideas for different topics and things to film, so let me know if you have any preferences, and I will see you soon in my next video. Have a great day. Bye.